and welcome to the 30-Day Summit, where Russell Brunson has brought together a collection of his top 2 Comma Club and 8-figure award winners to share with you how they would literally survive and begin to rebuild their business in just 30 days if they lost it all. My name is Bailey Richard, and right now I'm delighted to be speaking with Dr. Ed Osburn. The chiropractor's laptop lifestyle is the brainchild of Dr. Ed Osburn. Out of pure necessity and desire to connect and create an online presence and extremely lucrative business, Ed rocketed to the very top of the chiropractic profession's most notable and distinguished contributors. Honored in 2015 as an icon, maverick, and genius by the chiropractic leadership, Ed is determined to bring the light of chiropractic to the globe by training doctors to expand outside their 4 walls and into the online world. First launching the chiropractic profession's #1 iTunes podcast, The Chiropractic Philanthropist, smashing successful virtual podcast training for chiropractors, establishing an online training academy, Laptop Lifestyle Academy, consisting of over 500 students, and finally, the Men of Iron Brotherhood for men who want more. Ed has dedicated his efforts to mentoring doctors towards building massive movements, impact, and multiple 6-figure businesses. Ed's philosophy is practice can be anything you dream it to be, and success does not have to come at the expense of your quality of life. So Dr. Ed, welcome to the summit.
That was awesome. Thank you.
You definitely have an impressive resume, and we are so excited to have you here on this summit. So I'd love to dive right into your 30-day plan, which you've organized into 4 distinct weeks and 4 distinct themes with specific objectives in each week. So I was wondering if you could begin by giving us an overview of each one of those 4 areas.
Sure, absolutely. So I broke it down into, like you said, 4 consecutive weeks, which is like, okay, what I had to really, this was a really great exercise, by the way. I had to really sit back and think about, like, how would I actually recreate all of this? And here, by the way, I just want to also preface this as saying, you know, that introduction sounds amazing, but for most of the people that are watching this right now, I'm actually a lot like them. Like, I still am just like trying to figure a lot of stuff out and launching and relaunching things. Okay, so week 1 was all about just planning. So like really just getting very clear. I call it radical clarity on, like, what is it that I want to create here? Do I want to create a business that I hate? You know, something like just what is it that I want? That's number 1. Week 2 was really just about deployment. Like, how would I create this? How would I start to build a movement and get people actually indoctrinated into what my message is? And then week 3 was really just creation. So now I'm into the content creation and building value for others. And then the last week, I go all the way into scaling and delivery. Like, so how can I take what I've done in the previous 3 weeks, and how can I put that into a funnel, specifically a core funnel that I can keep reusing, so get the flywheel going and just keep relaunching that core funnel, and really start getting people, like, then it's more just like get the traffic to that funnel. That was it, the 4 weeks.
Okay, sounds fantastic. So what I'd really love to do now is start deep diving into each one of those weeks and really start picking apart what's happening in each one of them. So starting at the very beginning with week 1, planning. After setting aside time for your family and personal obligations from the start, you say that you'll dive into figuring out your niche, avatar, and eventually your offer. So could you walk us through some of these steps and ultimately share with us the final offer that you arrive at?
Sure. So this is rather fresh for me too, because I've actually, the exact 30-day process here is exactly what I have done since doing like a decade in a day call with Russell probably 8 weeks ago. So I've kind of reinvented and massaged my entire business into a way that's very scalable, like something that I really want to create, like a life that I like around where I have more time. So the first step was really just about my niche. Like, where is it in my life that I have results that I can start teaching from? So start teaching from experience. I've always been really clear with anyone who is actually coming into our matrix, you know, our funnels, or buying any of our products or services, is we always teach from experience where we have results. So that's really my niche. You know, I'm a chiropractor, no longer really, I say I'm a chiropractor, but I'm not really a chiropractor anymore. I'm more of an online marketer, you could say. But I had to create results in that space. But if you look at the sub niche of where I am, like, I'm in a niche of health professionals, and then in a sub niche of like chiropractors, and that sub niche is like, there's only 65,000 of us out there in the world. Like, it's not a big niche, but that's where I went. And I want to encourage anyone who's listening to this is to get really detailed on what is your niche, what is your marketplace. Also, part of that was the avatar. It's like, I've created businesses, like one of the first online businesses that I created was a really substantial program. It was a 90-day program, and it sold incredibly well. But the challenge is I created a business I did not like. So I think that's part of the avatar, is like, just know who do you want to work with? And that puts us into the offer, which is like, how do you want to create that opportunity? Like, do you want to do one-on-one consulting with people? Do you want to have that kind of connection with people? Do you want to do coaching, like a group coaching experience? Do you want to have like an online product or service that you actually just people push a button and download? So you have to decide what you want, because those are all very different business models when you're building this out. So the last part of this was really your question of like how I came up with the pricing and how I came up with that value stack. And it was really, again, it came back to what I wanted, which was I had in the past done a lot of one-on-one coaching, a lot of group coaching. But, at the end of the day, one of my highest core values is my family and my health, and those are time consuming. So I didn't want to be kind of boxed into that where I'm on calls all the time. So we've taken everything and put it into a product that's $9.97. And then from $9.97, the offer goes to a continuity, which is very scalable as well, which fits in with my highest values. And I'm going to encourage everyone to do the same. And then the next was actually, there was a bump of 99, so a short sales call actually. And then a continuity offer. And then we do high ticket should someone choose to be part of a group coaching experience with us.
Fantastic. Okay, well, thanks for sharing all of that about week one and everything that has to happen leading up to the offer that you are ultimately going to make to your audience. So let's keep moving on to week number 2, where there is a ton of stuff going on. You say that your primary objective is to come up with an idea for a free 7-day challenge, and then to employ various techniques to help the challenge gain traction and build a group of people who will ultimately go through this challenge with you in week 3. So that is all happening in week 2. So I was wondering if you can walk us through several of the different activities and steps that will be occurring during the second week.
Sure. So the free challenge is really, people love free stuff for one thing, but if you can show them, so define in terms of like where they have a pain, like where they have a problem, and you can give them a solution and make it actually gamified. So it's actually, there's a challenge aspect to it. It's not that difficult to get people into those types of experiences. So that was really where the challenge came from. I would love to say that, it's my idea, but, Russell's been doing this. A lot of people inside of the inner circle have been doing challenges, and I see quite a number of these that, Brendan Bouchard does something that's similar too. So the whole purpose is to really just get people, so bring people from free social media, it could be Instagram or Facebook, get them into that free challenge where we're going to take them from, inside of a very short time period, it's a very short time frame, and we're going to have them have a very specific outcome at the end. So I'll give you an example too. So we did this with a client just recently. So this exact strategy that we're talking about today, he created a 7-day water fasting, like water fast challenge. And I think he had 150 people just doing Facebook Lives on his personal page. 150 people went through that experience. And then on the very last day, he did a webinar-like training. So like the perfect webinar. And I'm happy to say he did like 3,000 in sales. So he was very happy with that for the first try. And the people that went through that experience, not only did he build a following very quickly, he had no email list, nothing like that, but they got incredible value. Plus, he captured all of these results of the people that were getting these incredible results, and so these testimonies and case studies as he went through that 5-day challenge as well. Ready to launch again.
Okay, sounds good. So what is happening when the launch actually goes live, which is what happens during the 3rd week of your plan?
Great question. So this is actually like a 3-part training in of itself. But the way that I kind of broke it down, like I'm taking some people through that training right now, but really the way it works is like in day 1, you're really just laying out what is going to happen over the next, it's really more like a 5-day challenge, because the last 2 days, you're really kind of more pitching your offer the last 2 days. But basically over the 5 days, your day 1 is like logistics, and you do a short training. Like, here's the outcomes that you're going to get from this experience. Day 2, you start to drop some value, but also really what you're doing is you're breaking beliefs and you're reaffirming that they can actually do it. So let's say, for example, I created a 7-day launch a funnel challenge. So for a lot of doctors, like they're like, I have no idea how to create a funnel and launch one. I'm like, okay, well, I can show you how to do that in 5 days. Would that be of value to you? It's very specific in terms of their outcome. It's like they have no funnel. Then they come out 5 days later, they have a funnel. So it was really easy to do that. So day 2 was really just helping them believe in themselves, so breaking beliefs. And we're keeping things really high level. Day 3, we start to drop down some real strategy for them. It's like, okay, how do we actually create, so for example, with the water fasting challenge, with the doc who did it, he's actually taking them through the water fast itself, showing them how they do this, but as a community and in support, they're actually getting results now. Day 4, you drop a little bit more value, but again, breaking beliefs. And then day 5, you do another training, but you've also been pre-framing everyone throughout that entire 5 days that you're going to be dropping another offer at the end. And that's exactly what this other doctor did with the fasting challenge, but also what we did with our funnel challenge.
So is there any particular reason you focused in on your challenge having this many days? You mentioned that it was 7, but in reality, it's more like 5 with 2 additional days of pitching. Is there a reason that 5 true days of content is better than 3 or maybe even longer?
The attention span anyone who's doing this, if you launch this, you'll probably watch also with your trainings on each specific day, and you'll see how many people actually see it, but then also how many people view your training or how many engage. And so over time, so like by day 3, you're starting to have less and less people who are engaging, like they're dropping off, right? There's their attrition. So what I found is that if I get that offer in within 5 days, it's enough to still have enough people's attention to have them believe that they can actually get a result, or they've had some results throughout that time. And then I can actually still have their attention, like to drop an offer to them or opportunity. 21 days, I just feel it's too long. It's also not what I want. I don't want to be dropping trainings for 21 days, to be honest.
Okay, that makes a ton of sense. So just to recap what's going on, we've identified our audience, we've crafted an offer for them, we've put together this free 7-day challenge, we've got a lot of people in the challenge that we're ultimately going to pitch to after we execute the challenge towards the end of that week. So now that really brings us all the way up to week 4, where arguably there's just as much going on during this week as there was during the entirety of the first 3 before it. Now we're going to go over so many of those different activities, but let's just take them one at a time. One of the things that you mentioned that you would do towards the beginning of week 4 is start putting together a core funnel that you're ultimately going to use to end up selling this product now that your challenges are over. So I was wondering if you could talk a little bit more about that.
Yes, so whatever the core offer is in the perfect webinar at the very end. So in my instance, it was like, we called it my Genius Flow system, which it is a system. It was like, because the biggest challenge that we found with the people going through a 7-day launch a funnel challenge was they still, even near the end, they were still not certain what it is they wanted to create. They knew that they could create a funnel, but they weren't sure whether that was exactly what they wanted to create. So our solution was a 7-day launch, was our Genius Flow system. It's like a 13-step system. So that's the core funnel. So we actually take that, we create a sales page, we create we build it out in a very, in a way that's not just like when we do the first perfect webinar, we just have really a sales page and an order. Actually, it's more or less just an order form. But now we build out a proper funnel with our upsells. With the doc, I'll give you an example again, with the doc who did the fasting challenge. He was actually at the very end, it was a program where it was actually food testing, which was his sell at the end. So you can see it's very specific to after people have done a cleanse, it's like, why put foods back into your body that are irritating to your gut? So that was his sell at the end. And now what he's doing is he's building out the core funnel, and then he's going to relaunch this again. Does that make sense?
Yes, it definitely does, but I'm curious as to what this core funnel actually looks like. Are you taking your 7-day challenge and turning it into an evergreen challenge, or is it more of just a direct selling funnel where someone opts in for a freebie and then you pitch them the product? So I'd love to hear more about that.
So actually what we've done is we took all of the trainings from the entire 5 days of trainings. We've taken all of those trainings and we've used those as our value stack now. So for the people, For a lot of people who do these challenges, what they want is they'll do like maybe a 1 hour challenge or 1 hour training per day, where they want to make sure that everyone can consume the amount of trainings on each day. I kind of went the other way. I flipped it on its head. I created so much training. I would like literally do 3 hours of training per day, plus downloads, plus action guides. Like, I gave so much value and so much content, it was impossible for someone to consume it all. So at the end, it had a great amount of value because not everyone was able to consume all of the content. So we took that and we used that as our value stack, and it actually became a sellable product. Like, we could actually take that 5-day, 7-day process, and we can actually put that into a membership area in ClickFunnels, and we can resell it should we choose, but we're using it as a value stack at this moment. But we have a different product that we're selling them, or product or service.
Okay, and one of the other things I wanted to ask you about as well that you mentioned during this final week is that when you relaunch your challenge, which you said in your plan is going to happen pretty shortly after you had the challenge for the first time, is that you start folding in some messenger bots into this overall strategy. So I wanted to ask you about that as well.
You know what? Honestly, it was because I had not seen anyone who has done that yet. Like, it was like, okay, what would it, and I kind of tested it. I threw this out there. I'm like, okay, you know, on my personal page, on my business page, I'm like, look, I know many of you didn't get all of the trainings. Some of you missed it. You want to get access to it. Maybe you didn't see the post because, you know, on Facebook, I mean, like, due to the algorithm, you might not even see or get a notification that we posted something there, like one of the trainings. So I said, would it be of value if we actually did this over a week, again, the exact same trainings, but we deliver them straight to your Facebook Messenger, but it's like via bot. We called it EdBot. And so we actually laid it out so people actually opted into we had 370 people opt in, doctors. And then over the week, what we did is we dropped the information each day through Facebook Messenger. So it was pretty cool. So they could just download the content as they went. And the open rate was like 90%.
I was just going to say that the messenger bots, you know, right now, it's summer of 2018, are experiencing such incredibly high open rates for their messages that if you're really trying to get somebody to stay engaged over a long period of time, you know, 5 to 7 days, that might be something definitely to look into.
Yeah. Can I be honest with you though? It didn't work.
Oh, really?
Like, it worked. Like, we built up this messenger bot list, like this big list, but we had 0 sales. Whereas on the launch, the initial launch that we did in the 7-day challenge, we did just over 20,000 in sales. And that's really great. I considered that a win for a brand new product, right? A new service. However, through the messenger bot, no sales. But here's how we saved it. And I want everyone to think about this, is that what we did is we did a webinar like right away, like 3 days later. We dropped in the opportunity they could register for the webinar. And then through the webinar, we did 15K in sales. So again, not big numbers, but we were able to capture that and, you know, course correct, put it that way.
Well, I think that it's interesting because I think even though you may have needed that webinar to be able to really close the sale on so many of your audience members at that price point, there has to be something there when it comes to the long-term indoctrination of people going through that sequence and ultimately, you know, reading those messages on a daily basis for the long term. Yeah.
And I'll be honest, it was a lot of content. Mm-hmm. Like, it was a lot. So yeah, no, and that's one of the things too. I mean, anyone who's watching this, that's really aspiring to make this stuff work online, especially through ClickFunnels, is just, you got to course correct. Like, don't give up. Don't assume that what you did was not of value. Just find a different way.
Absolutely. Fantastic. Dr. Ed, I would definitely love to get any final thoughts that you have regarding what's going on towards the end of your 30-day plan. I know that you mentioned a few things like getting testimonials and case studies from people who have been through your programs and also reaching out to your Dream 100 affiliates. So if you have anything to share with us regarding that, I'd love to hear. Absolutely. I mean, you have to think about too, like, a lot of the people who are doing this, who are like, this is their first run at it. So sometimes it's not about the sell. So like this doc who did 3K in sales, that's a massive win. I mean, I don't know about you, but I feel great whenever I make a sale. I don't care if it's $5 or it's $500. It's just, you feel good and validated. So it is partly about the sell at the end, but really what you want are the case studies. It's the case studies and those screen captures of people who are getting results and loving what you're doing. Those are far more valuable
than having someone say that you're a nice guy, like a testimony. So that is really what you want to do, is be getting results and showing that you're an authority, so that when you do launch again, you can actually start to show that and use people as results to actually amplify what you've already created and get more sales.
Definitely. I think that's logical. It makes a ton of sense. And it's definitely something I'm hearing from a lot of other summit interviewees on this event as well. Dr. Ed, it's been an absolute pleasure chatting with you during this interview. I would love to just give you a final opportunity to share any last thoughts with our audience before we finish here.
You know, I guess it would be the last part of this would be to reinvest. So once you do start to have cash flow coming in, you have positive cash flow coming in, I've always been really, really good at reinvesting back into the business. So like, just know whatever comes in, that you take a certain percentage, and maybe that is that you hire someone to build the core funnel for you so that you can actually go out and market and get more traffic to the funnel itself. Maybe it is that you join a group, like, I don't know, like 2X, and you know, like you reinvest and you put yourself around other people who can actually bring you to the next level. I've always found that is, you know, every time I put myself in a room where I feel this big, you know, as in terms of mentorship, I always find that I grow and my business expands. So that would probably be my last little bit.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for sharing that, Dr. Ed. For those of you watching at home, don't go just yet. I have a question I'd love to ask. Are you ready to embark on your own 30-day journey to success? Well, if that's the case, then I have good news for you. We're putting together something called the One Funnel Away Challenge, where you have an opportunity to work directly with a 2 Club coach that's going to help you craft a personalized and customized 30-day plan to success and getting that next award-winning funnel launched. Click the button on this page to upgrade and learn more today. Plus, whenever you do upgrade, you're also going to be snagging some absolutely incredible bonuses, including a physical copy of the 30 Days book, where we've put together all of the 30-day plans crafted by the 2 Club members featured on this summit. You're going to get unlimited access to the interview with Dr. Ed that you just watched, and of course, all of the other summit speakers featured on this event. Plus, and this is my very favorite part of the whole package, a second interview that I've recorded with every single summit speaker on the event, where we go behind the scenes and they show me via screen share inside of their ClickFunnels accounts and in their web browsers how it is that they have set up their entire award-winning 2 Club funnels. The value is absolutely out of this world, and you do not want to miss out on that. So make sure to click the button and learn more about the One Funnel Away Challenge and upgrade today. Dr. Ed, one more time, thank you so much for being a part of the summit. It's been an absolute pleasure having you.
Thank you.